listening to Peak One Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for watching this episode of the Sports Page on the Peak One Sports Network. I am your host, Ashton Nix, and with me, as always, Chris Robb. What's going on, Chris?
Nothing much, man. It's been a great week of sports. How you doing?
Well, I've noticed lately that based on doing Friday night football this past week, I called my first game in like 12 years. It doesn't seem like it's been that long, but
Oh, wow.
that and I kept saying thank you for listening because I'm used to being radio and podcast, but we're on camera. And I just started noticing it, and I was like, man, I keep saying listen instead of watch. And now it's got me going. I'm on the leadoff morning show. I'm on this podcast, and we obviously do video, and we're on YouTube. I'm paranoid now. I'm like, have I always been saying listen? And not that it's a big deal. I didn't even notice it till then.
Right. Yeah.
I guess it still works because you can listen to us on podcast form as well. But no, that's something doing all these. I'm very paranoid about little stuff like that nobody would even
Well, you're a
notice
hard
or care
worker.
about.
You got a lot going on, so.
Well, I thought it was funny. I can go back on my shows now and say, have I been saying listen or watch or check out or whatever? But for some reason it clicked when I was doing that Friday night football. I guess because I was really nervous and we were calling it, and it just stuck in my head like, man, I said listen instead of watch. Like anybody cares.
Yeah.
But anyways,
either way it works out. I feel like listening, it can go hand in hand.
Yeah.
You can listen while you watch, like, it can go hand in hand. So.
Yeah, now that I've gotten all my paranoia out on everybody, thank you for tuning in. Maybe that's what I say, tuning in to the Sports Page, whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on a podcast platform. Be sure to subscribe and follow whatever the right vernacular is to use, however you're tuning in. Make sure to hit that notification button so you know every time one of our new episodes drops. And I already mentioned it, you can listen to all of our Peak One shows, however you listen to podcasts. Let's go ahead and kick this out because I know last episode I forgot and I brought it halfway up, but this episode is brought to you by Betalytics. The Betalytics dashboards allow you to quickly identify the top graded best bets, hottest trends. Use promo code PEAK1 for 25% off when you sign up. Today, go to Betalytics.com to start betting smarter. Guys, if you don't know about Betalytics, you just hear me reading that every time. If you really haven't checked it out, you really need to. I already told you, go to Betalytics.com. If you place any bets, like I'm not even a big gambler, but I'll do parlays here and there. Just throw $10, $20 at it. Don't bet with your gut because I do it. I'll look at him and I'm like, he's got to get, this player's got to get more.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that the other day. I keep hearing my headphones going in and out. I thought that the other day, and it was Thursday night football. The Vikings, Cousins. It was over under 3.5 rushing yards, and I thought, surely he's going to get over that.
The scramble can get you.
Yeah, but he didn't rush one time. Even though I just thought the Eagles' defense of the line's going to be on him, he's just going to roll out. He didn't rush once.
Roll out.
And I should have paid attention to Betalytics. I bet with my gut. And that was the one I got wrong. That was the one I got wrong and missed on my parlay. You can go on there, NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL. You can go on there and just check it out. Like pick out your parlay and you just go find it, over, unders, however, whatever bets you like to be placing. Betalytics.com, promo code PEAK1, you get 25% off that account. Now today, we got to talk more Cowboys. They're 2-0 now, another comfortable win. And we're not going to get too crazy. You've had Daniel Jones and Zach Wilson. So let's not go crazy, but like what I've been seeing all around. There's nitpicky stuff we can go over, but overall a pretty good start to the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what we talked about as far as just the defense carrying. I feel like the offense let a lot of points Like they left a lot of points on the field. It was a lot of field goals as opposed to touchdowns when it came to the red zone. But
Yeah.
um, still, it's still a great win. I wasn't really worried, the whole game really. Just like last week, they 70-10. They've outscored opponents this
Yeah.
year so far. So it's it's a great win. I want them to close, finish drives, but that's the only really thing I can kind of nitpick. The defense played incredible. So, getting 3 picks. So, it was a great win.
Yeah. That was my main nitpick was they, it, okay. So I used to do this thing with my older son who's 10 now and a lot heavier. So I used to, when he was a little kid, not that he's not still a little kid, but Cowboys would score a touchdown. I'd throw him in the air a few times or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I thought, I have a 5-year-old son who's actually small for his age. So I started doing that. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And he's like, come on. Is it a touchdown yet? I'm like, no, not yet. And so I'd get him excited there in the second half. I'm like, okay, they're about to score a touchdown. And like 3 or 4 times they were about to score a touchdown. They didn't. They ended up kicking a field goal. They were up by a couple of scores every time. So it can be like the same thing when you said, well, the defense or the offense wasn't very productive in the second half of the first game either. You're like, well, your game plan changes a little bit when you're up by 40 points or 30 points or 20 points. I can put that in there. I mean, Dak, very efficient, 31 of 38, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers at all. That's the thing. Offense hasn't turned over the ball at all. But when you're outscoring the other team 70-10, and we're both in agreement that this is a defensive team that if you're going to win the Super Bowl, your defense is going to have to keep it up. Offense doesn't still need to be efficient and not turn the ball over like they have. But you would like them to, that was the only thing is, I think they had a couple of 3 and outs, but overall it was very efficient drives, but the defense was giving them the ball with great field position, a few turnovers, and you're just not able to capitalize. But we'll see. We haven't been able to see this new Mike McCarthy West Coast offense with Dak in a situation where they really needed it.
Yeah, as far as like
Cowboys have not trailed at all. So we'll see. Defense, I mean, outside of that one play, that's going to happen. They just got
the Garrett Wilson play.
Yeah, the Garrett Wilson play. They did. And then there was another one that they pointed out. The Garrett Wilson was wide open.
They threw it. Zach Wilson threw it over his head or something.
Well, no, this is when DeMarcus Lawrence hit Zach Wilson's arm. It was going to be a touchdown, and it kind of fell short, and Diggs almost intercepted it. But overall, it's a great win. I mean, if people are nitpicking what they've been nitpicking, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's just the nature of being a Cowboys fan as far as, just you're trying to find something, you don't want to get too high because
you can't trust it.
Yeah. I've gotten way too high on the Cowboys too soon and been let down plenty of times, and I can't do that anymore. After last year, I just was like, okay, I'm gonna just, let it go, just go with the flow, week by week. Not try to say, oh, Super Bowl contender, even though they are in reality.
If anybody's a Super Bowl contender, I mean, how can who were the Super Bowl favorites before this? Kansas City not doing so great. They're doing okay, not great. Yeah. The Bills 0-2. The Bengals not even doing great, and then Joe Burrow's hurt and might miss some time. Outside of the 49ers, Eagles, Cowboys, that's what we all called is the NFC is these 3 teams and they all play each other. I mean, obviously the Cowboys and Eagles, but the 49ers play both. So you're going to see these teams. And right now, if you can say, well, Dak's going to be Dak, which I disagree with. I've had conversations on social media this past week. He turned the ball over last week. I've said plenty of times on this show that that's not him. Typically, I'm not saying that that's not what he's now turning into. But most of his career he's been efficient. He hadn't turned the ball over, and he hadn't turned the ball over here. Outside of the first game where they were up 40-0, so why are you going to pass the ball? I've seen people that point out one or two passes and like, look how inaccurate this pass was.
And that's
Nope.
just that's the nature of football. Like no one throws perfect passes every single. Like Pat Mahomes, you can watch him last week. He missed some throws. Like
Yeah, if
it's
you're
just a
gonna
part
pick
of it.
out specific pass, I call
Yeah.
it confirmation bias. Well, not just me. Everyone a
Mhm.
lot of people call it confirmation bias. It's
Yeah.
you think Dak is not the guy. We could have a
And you try to
conversation.
look for reasons.
He's
Yeah.
not. Yeah, he's not Patrick Mahomes. I'm
Mhm.
doing the same thing by saying, look, 31 to 38. You know, he's thrown a couple touchdowns, no interceptions, but
Started the game 13 for 13. You know,
yeah,
you can't get any better than that. That's he started out efficient. You know, they went down, they got up early. You know, maybe they could have closed out some drives, but you know, start the game 13 for 13 is, you know, that's pretty impressive. So that's just people just nitpicking at that point.
yeah, and I say it. Dak Prescott's an above average quarterback. He's going to have games where he
Mhm.
puts up stats. He's going to have some games where he, like last week, and he threw uh, was 150 yards. Not a whole lot for a
Yeah.
game,
Mhm.
especially when you win 40 to nothing.
Mhm.
But CD Lamb 11 catches, 143 yards.
Yeah.
Parsons had 2 more sacks.
Mhm.
Not very much to complain about with this Cowboys team. And,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
and I'm like you. It's like I don't necessarily trust it. It's been 2 games, a short sample size, but bad teams don't play like this typically. There's
Yeah.
not you can't go through there and say, well, they got lucky here. They dominated both teams.
Yeah, it's been
Teams aren't that great
yeah.
without Aaron. You
In
know,
the
the
Jet
Jets without
the
Aaron
Jet yeah,
Rodgers,
without I was about to say without Aaron Rodgers, yeah,
but the Jets have a
they're
really good defense. I mean,
they're really good, yeah.
Josh Allen struggled against this defense
Mhm.
very
Yeah.
much. Threw a couple of interceptions, fumbled the ball.
3 picks, 4, fumble, yeah. They're good. They have, you know, they have good secondary. They have some good players on the D line. Um, you know, it's not a bad defense, and I think that's one of the reasons why Dallas struggled so much in the red zone. They really tightened it up in the red zone, and you know, it's just kind of just getting through that, you know, maybe like play calling, maybe they weren't trying to call the, you know, like the plays that they would call against, you know, better competition because they knew they had the game in hand. I'm not really sure, but you know, overall, I do think that they're a contending team. The that's It's a good win. Anytime you win, you know, by double digits in the NFL, that's a good win.
Yeah, exactly. You could say bad team, but you do what you're supposed to do. That's what we talked
Hmm.
about this. We said if Dak, I said exactly about it. If Dak can play like that, be efficient, not turn the ball over, this defense is going to help you win this game easily. And they easily won. There was a couple of times, like after that big touchdown, if I think it was 10-7, where I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, guys, let's not let this unravel. There's just one play, and then they came back out. I think they might have scored a field goal after that. But
I
the
think
deep
they scored a touchdown and then got the 2 point conversion, if I'm not
oh yeah,
mistaken.
that's right, the
Yeah.
roughing the
Hmm.
passer call, and
Yeah.
the defense is pretty much locked down since then. Um,
Yeah.
Playing more prevent defense later in the game,
Hmm.
uh, but overall, I mean, just a dominant performance by this defense. Curse with
Yeah.
an interception. Diggs had an interception. We could talk about because I know we mentioned when the Giants losing and how they lost would be how they would respond because they're played the Cardinals, another team who we all think might be the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
They played the Cardinals and they were down I think 20-0 in the first
Hmm.
half, or maybe it was
20 and
halftime.
21 nothing, I think. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we thought, man, they're just gone. They folded, and
Hmm.
out of nowhere they come and they come back. I think they had 21 unanswered points, and they end up winning in the last second field goal,
Hmm.
31-28.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
That's a big, I mean, that that's a lot of pressure on Danny. A lot, you know, to come back that way and, you know, to win that game against, I mean, it's probably the worst team in NFL, but to be down like that, and it's just still they pay their players too, you know, and they came out on fire, and to weather that and to get that win. I'm not like praising the Giants by any means, but they were about to get written off after that. and the fact that they bounced back, they're still in the hunt. They made the playoffs last year. They're still in the hunt, and that just shows how good the Cowboys are. Really,
Yeah.
beating them 40-0, and then
They're
having that
capable of
team pick
scoring
that
31
performance up.
points in
Hmm.
the second half.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
I want to say they're 1-1 after 2 ugly games. I don't know if you call that an ugly win. Usually, ugly wins are like 13-10 and not playing.
13-10.
It was a very ugly first half, and then they just came back in the second half, played good defense, and scored a lot.
Hmm.
But like we'd mentioned, a win's a win, a loss is a loss. It doesn't matter. The Giants are 1-1. If you would have told us, before the season started, they'd be 1-1, you'd think, yeah, that's probably right. They weren't favored against the Cowboys, and they should have been. I don't know if they were after losing 40-0, but they would have been favored against the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Even though they played horrendous football for 6 quarters and then great football for 2 quarters, they're 1-1. Now you can just hit the reset button like, this is probably where we expected to be anyway, so let's go. And now the Cowboys go to Arizona to play this Cardinals team.
Yeah.
So again, try not to make it a trap game, like we were kind of worried about the Jets. It just depends which Cardinals team we get, the first half Cardinals or the second half Cardinals. Or was the first half Cardinals more because the Giants just came off a 40-0 loss?
Yeah, that's true. A lot of factors could have played a part, but
any chance
I'm not.
the Cowboys have an issue?
Yeah, I'm not
with
too
this
nervous.
game?
I was about to say I'm not too nervous about this game. Like it should be one of the. I said last week that they wouldn't blow the Jets out, and they did.
Yeah.
So maybe like they're doing what they're supposed to do, and I hope they continue.
It's hard to
do
say
that.
they're going to blow a team out for the third straight week.
Yeah,
like you said, everybody's getting
exactly.
paid. Whether you want to, believe it or not, that the Cardinals are tanking for Caleb Williams or not.
Williams, yeah.
As an organization, I guess that could be true. That's what you want, but the players aren't going to do it because those players make money too. And when you're a worse off team or a lesser team, that means those players aren't. I mean, it's not like Dak, who's already gotten paid and he's an established player. They're players trying to make names for themselves, and they may not be on the roster, so they have to play good. They're not going to just say, yeah, for the team, we're gonna tank just so we can get a better quarterback.
Right.
But I mean,
how do you even tank in football? I think that's more of just like a coaching, like a personnel type of thing, because players aren't just gonna go out there and just, I'm just gonna not tackle them or not catch the ball.
It would have to be like like I said, it would have to be an organizational thing, and I don't know about that. This early in the season, I don't know how you do that. I think you just go play your game. You just play the best of your ability, and then if you're in situations where, hey, we're actually going to win this game, you call the game differently. As difficult it is to win, I think would be easy to lose without making it obvious. You can make it more of a, hey, that was a bad call. But I've never seen a situation where there was a questionable call or a bad play and somebody's gone back and looked at it and said, hey, this is why the NFL scripted or whatever. It's like, this was obvious. This is collusion. This is this guy doing. They want to say it all the time, like maybe with bad calls with referees, but people want to say it's scripted or they're tanking or they're, throwing this game, but they don't have the video evidence of it. It's just over because I don't think it's ever going to be that obvious.
Nah, I think basketball is more of it's a very obvious thing in basketball. Football it's too many moving parts. It's 22 players on the field, and everybody's not going to be on the same page as far as, we're just not going to tackle or not going to catch the ball, or everybody wants to go out there and make a name for themselves. At least I think, anyways. No one wants to go out there and stink it up. So yeah, I don't know, but Caleb Williams, number one pick. You're trying to get Kyler up out of there. You never know. You never know.
And that's my thinking. I mean, I know when they come out with a lot of these contracts, big contracts, you have to read between the lines and be like, okay, it's not a 4-year, $200 million or whatever. it's more, lots of times it's like, well, in reality, it's a 2 year something, whatever contract. After 2 years, they can get out of it. Kyler just signed his last offseason.
Yeah,
So I
he
don't
just
know how
signed.
you get out of that contract so easily. I don't have the details in front of me. So I don't know. I'm not that type of, my Madden GM self would not be going after a quarterback right away because you still have a
Yeah,
quarterback on your books and you want to take
yeah,
advantage of a rookie quarterback by not having to pay him
hmm
anything. Um,
yeah. That's just wasted money, and I don't think Kyler is as bad as everyone because at one point he was one of the better quarterbacks in the league, and
he's made some great
something happened.
throws and he can
Yeah, he made
run.
some great throws.
Uh,
Hmm.
but yeah, I agree. It's like a switch flipped and he's just not good anymore.
Hmm.
And I'm
That's
not,
tough.
a high profile athlete or anything. So I'm not sure how that goes. I guess everybody kind of feels that way until you reach a certain age and then you just go downhill and you can't
Hmm.
keep. I've never been that great athlete. I like to, play sports, everything. You call me an athlete, but
Yeah.
nothing to that level of where you train and train. You do go as hard as you
Hmm.
can and through high school and college and early in your NFL career, you're great. And then all of a sudden you're just not good anymore. I think for Kyler Murray, that's probably more not watching film, maybe, or preparation. Because, he had issues
Preparation.
with playing Call of Duty when Call of Duty games came out. And
Oh yeah,
he
yeah.
wasn't.
They made it like the. I'm not sure. Was that contract clause real? Whenever they were like, you
I
gotta.
don't know, but
Yeah.
if it's
Funny.
out like that, there's some truth to it. I don't know there's a
Hmm.
contract clause, but I'm sure the organization was worried about it.
Hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I hate how he got written off so quickly. Granted, I haven't done the best job of promoting him on Twitter because he was making some terrible throws and terrible plays, and I was on him for it, but
Yeah.
I don't. I do think he's still a solid quarterback. I don't think he's the worst. I still think
No.
he's like 15th, 16th ish.
Yeah. Like I kind of ranked Dak sixth or seventh on his best, down to
Yeah,
like 12th maybe on his worst.
12 is the worst. Yeah.
Kyler's best play, I think he's close to the 10th best quarterback. We
Hmm.
say that, and I mean, I think Josh Allen's a top five quarterback, but how he's played the first two games, um, he's looked terrible.
Hmm.
But I'm not going to say,
Yes.
well, he's not a
Yeah.
top five quarterback
He's
anymore.
not. So yeah, I was about
That's
to say
such
yeah.
a small sample size. The same as
Hmm.
Dak. Dak's played like a top 10 quarterback so far. I mean,
Hmm.
he doesn't have any turnovers. Mahomes has turnovers. Uh,
Hmm.
Josh
He has
Allen
a
has
better record than
turnover.
Mahomes.
Yeah,
He has a better record. Yeah.
he has a
If
better
we're going
record than
off
Trevor Lawrence.
just paper, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I don't see Kyler Murray day in and day out in training camp and practice. So if the Cardinals are done with him and they haven't come out and said they're done with him, but to me it seems like that's pretty quick, especially when you spend all
Mhm.
that money on him. I mean, unless there's a clause in there where you can just get out, you're kind of screwed anyways. With
Mhm.
having that money on your books, it would just be dead cap for a backup QB or whatever the case is. So you might as well just roll with him. Maybe you suck for a couple of years until you can get out of that contract. But
Yeah. Yeah. I think you have to. I think you have to.
yeah, but all good for the Cowboys so far. NFC East is looking good again. Washington's 2-0, the Eagles are 2-0,
Hmm.
and even though it looks ugly, the Giants are 1-1.
Yeah.
It's the
Maybe it
only
wasn't a fluke last year. Yeah.
Yeah, it's well, I don't know about that. It looks pretty bad. We'll see. I don't know who the Giants play next. I mean, maybe that was
Yeah.
the turning point. I mean, you score 31 points and I don't know if it was all in the second half. It seems like it was. Um
I think it was, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, and
That's yeah. That's still a lot of that's still a huge comeback. The 3 touchdowns against a NFL team.
yeah,
That's a
and
big win. Yeah.
and it was looking bad for Daniel Jones. I mean, he just signed
Yeah.
that $40 million a year contract and then he goes six
Hmm.
quarters without scoring any points.
Yeah.
So from one wavelength to the other, we'll jump into some baseball. And as good as the Cowboys have been, it's how bad the Rangers have been the last few days. I mean, it's up and down. It's not win
Yeah.
two of three here, you lose one of three. It's you sweep this team, you get swept. You sweep a team,
And
you
then yeah,
yeah.
it's
So currently, when we're recording this, the Rangers are holding the second wild card spot. By the time we post this Wednesday, they may be first
could
place in the AL West. They may be
first
out of the
place.
playoffs.
Right.
But yeah, they swept the Blue Jays in a 4-game series last week, going into the weekend. No, going into Thursday, I think that was the.
'Cause, yeah.
And then they get swept by the Indians this weekend. So it looks
That's,
great, and then it looks not so great.
yeah. I'm trying to say. I'm gonna looking up who they play.
They're playing
So
the
they
Red
got Boston,
Sox. Yeah, they have
the Red
Boston
Sox.
in this
Yeah.
series. So once we post this video, they're still going to be playing the Red Sox. Just we'll
Mhm.
see
Yeah.
how they're doing. The Red Sox, I mean, I think they're last place in the AL East, but
I think they are.
that's
Yeah.
not saying they're like right around 500. I'm not going to
Mhm.
put anything. The Rangers just got swept by the Twins a few weeks ago,
Mhm.
who are in first place in an awful AL Central, but the Twins have been doing a lot better of late. We were thinking the AL
Yeah.
Central team would probably, whoever wins that division would be around 500. They're I want to say like 10 games over 500 or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't. Yeah. I can't really put my finger on it. It's gonna be a tough. The tough ending. So they have Boston, then they have Seattle twice, 2 series against Seattle, then the Angels in the middle of that. So that Seattle series is gonna be huge.
Yeah, because
As far as
Seattle is
the
out of the
AL West.
playoffs right now.
Yeah. So that's gonna be a huge series. So if they can win this series, win the next one, um, they should beat the Angels. I just don't know. Like you said,
And with the
they win
Angels,
5 straight.
he's out. He's probably never going to wear
Yeah,
an Angels uniform again. I'd be surprised. That would be huge, shocking news if
if
he
he came back.
re-signed. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
just how they
Like you said,
mishandled
so they win.
everything.
It was bad, especially like with a generational player like that. You gotta do something. You have
Yeah,
two of the greatest
too. Yeah,
players that ever played in reality. And I know it's early in his career still, but and to not even have any success,
yeah.
that
And
says something about like someone.
I was surprised at the trade deadline. Not only that they didn't trade him, but they were going for it. They were buyers because they were
Hmm.
pretty mediocre. And then shortly
Yeah,
after the trade deadline, they just plummeted. And um, the fact that not only was he's hurt and he's out supposedly. I don't know if that's
right.
all
Yeah,
all the
that's true.
story,
Yeah.
but he cleaned out his locker. I mean, you don't you don't hear that from any player who, even if they're
Yeah.
DeGrom didn't clean out his Rangers locker, even though he's not going to pitch
Hmm.
again uh, till late next year.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the Rangers,
Yeah.
I hope they make the playoffs. I hope they can get
Me
some of the
too.
young
Yeah.
players, get Evan Carter, get Josh Young that playoff experience. Um,
Yeah.
even when
And
they
for
were
the
doing
fans,
so great, go ahead.
yeah, I was about to say, even for just for the fans, the Rangers haven't been good in a while. I know a lot of Rangers fans. I'm a Rangers fan, like thirsty for just a playoff series, especially in that new
Yeah,
stadium. That's going to be, hopefully they can close it out and get a wild card spot, or maybe even pull out the AL West,
yeah,
title. Um, but yeah, I'm excited. I want them to, I really want them to get like that experience. Because it's gonna be rocking in there. Globe Life is gonna be crazy in there if they make a playoffs.
yeah, and you want that like winning mentality. You know how a
Hmm.
lot of teams like it didn't matter. Like some teams are against tanking. We were talking about tanking. That you don't want that losing environment because it's
Yeah.
hard to get out of. But like
Hmm.
there's something to it, like with the Browns or the Lions. It doesn't matter what players you put in;
Yeah.
they just can't get
Yeah. I was
over
about
that
to.
hump
Yeah.
a lot of times, and it just kind of
Just associate them with losing all the time. And
yeah.
like,
And even at
mhm.
their best this year, I never thought the Rangers were gonna win the World Series. I was
Hmm.
like, man, that'd be great if they could just get out of that division series and make it to and the ALCS.
Hmm.
But and especially where they are now, DeGrom's hurt, Max Scherzer's hurt. That
Hmm.
maybe next year you get Scherzer back, and then you make a run for the playoffs, and then DeGrom's ready for the playoffs. And then you have Evan Carter and hopefully Josh Young, and then Corey Seager's just. I don't know if Corey Seager he might be able to win the MVP. I don't know. It's still kind of strange, but now that Otani's hurt and hadn't really done anything, but Corey Seager's putting like all-time great numbers.
Yeah,
he just missed like 50 games. That's his only thing, because I mean he leads, and I think he's second in batting average, but he's first in like slugging percentage and WAR, like all these other numbers, but they're like all-time great numbers.
Yeah, I think I saw like a power ranking, a MVP power ranking, and I think he was like third. I forgot what outlet it was, but those 50 games, if he doesn't miss those, he's got to be number one, or at least
because it's hard to get a MVP who I think he's going to end up like hitting 32 to 35 home runs. I don't know where his numbers are right now, but it was around 30 last week. But yeah, he'd probably be in the mid 40s if he didn't miss a lot of time. Yeah. We'll see. Anything else to add to this? Cowboys, Rangers. I know we're gonna be talking Mavs and Stars soon. It's getting that time of year where everything's getting that's another reason I want the Rangers to make the playoffs. So you have all four teams.
Yeah, I love. Yeah, that's it's the best time. The Mavs. I'm excited about the Mavs season, but Texas jumping to number 3.
We didn't even talk Longhorns in college football. We're finally starting to get some good matchups now. This upcoming week,
and they haven't been number 3 or this high since 2009, I believe.
Yeah, last time they made the national championship.
Yeah, so it's exciting times. As a fan, just having all your teams, at least in the hunt. The Rangers, they aren't really. They're in the hunt, but they're not dominating like they were. But they were dominating. The Cowboys are dominating. Texas is number 3 in the country. I didn't even think that was even possible this year. But I'm definitely excited to see what happens this weekend.
Guys, thanks for tuning in to this episode of The Sports Page. Make sure to subscribe, follow us, social media, everything. And until next time, I'm Ashton.
I'm Chris. See you guys.
See you guys later.